Proposed new law in New York said that landlords can no longer charge a fee if a tenant's check bounces and can only charge that tenant the fee that the bank charges. I'm Tony, and this is Real Estate Investing and Landlord News. All right, so I have quite the interesting article for you today, and it's coming out of the state of New York. So they are the kings of making bad landlord-tenant laws in the state of New York, and this law here is a perfect example of that. Okay, so basically what they're doing is they're saying that landlords can no longer charge a fee to a tenant if their check bounces. Now, this is idiotic. This is absolutely idiotic for a multitude of reasons, okay? We're trying to discourage the tenant from giving us a bad check in the first place. We want to recover our costs. Our costs go beyond just the fact that, hey, you know what, the check bounced and the bank is charging us a fee. Our costs go beyond that because when we are unable to pay our bills, or maybe our accounts dip into the negative because of these bad checks that are being written, we incur expenses. And the state lawmakers who are putting these sort of laws in place, they don't seem to realize this sort of thing. So they think that we're just being greedy, going after a money grab after these tenants. No, you know what? Simply put, I would rather every single one of my tenants paid me on time every single time. But you know what? I darn well am going to charge a fee, a penalty to that tenant for bouncing a check, making me go through the grief and the nonsense, okay? So, you know what? It's a stupid law. I don't agree with it, and I'm going to explain more of it as we go through this article. But before I get into the article, go ahead, hit the like, subscribe button, maybe leave a comment down below, and let me know what you think. So, do you agree with the lawmakers up in New York State that say, hey, landlords shouldn't be able to charge a fee if a tenant bounces a check? What kind of idiocy is this, okay? They're trying to get, nitpick us over this little garbage, but you know what? You deal with a bad check. I've dealt with bad checks. Every landlord who's been in this business for a long time has dealt with tenants who have given them bad checks, okay? And it is garbage. We do not like it. And you know what? If you don't pay us a fee for it, then what? We got to go through all this stress and we get nothing out of it. What a joke. What a complete joke, okay? And I call it what it is because it's stupid. What do you think of this sort of law? Anyway, put a comment in the comment section down below. Let's get into the article and see what it says. This article is coming from 1045theteam.com, and it says, landlords cannot charge tenants for this in 2025 in New York State. Let's get into it. New year, new laws, especially here in New York State. There's going to be a law that is passed that says that landlords cannot charge tenants for this in 2025. There are so many laws that are updated every single year in New York State when it comes to housing. Officials do this every year and are so detailed because they want to make sure that the law is there to protect both the landlord and the tenant in every situation possible. I disagree with that right there. I don't think they give a darn about protecting the landlord in every situation possible. I believe that their main goal is to get votes, right? And they know that the tenants, especially in a place like New York City, they outnumber the number of landlords. So they are going to pass laws that penalize landlords, that make it so that landlords won't be able to operate their businesses in order to benefit the tenants, because they know that the tenants will then turn out at the election day and vote them back into office, even if it doesn't make any sense, even if it's unconstitutional, even if it's not fair, even though it's stupid, okay? And that's what's going on here with this law that they're passing. And anyone with any amount of common sense could easily explain away why this is a bad idea. But let me continue. A new law that is going to be passed in New York State is that if a check bounces from a tenant, a landlord can only charge the tenant whatever the landlord's bank charges for the bounced check. To clarify, if a bank charges $20 for a bounced check, a landlord charge a fee of $20 to the tenant. The landlord cannot go to the tenant and upcharge the tenant and say that they owe a fee on top of the bank charge. Okay, so that's pretty self-explanatory right there. And like I said at the very beginning of this video, I charge a fee if I get a bounce check from a tenant that goes on top of what the bank charges, okay? So this is a very, very common practice. A lot of landlords, you know what, and that's the other thing. When they change the laws like this, small mom and pops who don't know that the law has changed, they're the first ones to get caught up in the nonsense, okay? They're the ones who are getting fined and penalized by the government, who targets them as though they are the problem, when the real problem is this tenant wrote a bad check. Okay, that's the real problem right there. Yet instead of saying, oh, you know what, we're going to give this landlord a break, they didn't know what the law was, we'll let it slide and just don't do it again. They're like, no, we're going to charge you $1,000 fine and blah, 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 or we're going to allow a lawsuit to go against you because, you're so evil. That's the way that they do things. And you know what? I don't agree with investing in these sort of places. Okay, that's why I'm here in the Midwest right now. New York might be a great place to invest. It might be. But I'm not going to invest there because I believe in my own peace of mind. I believe that I shouldn't have to sit here and worry that I'm going to get sued or fined by the city. You know what? You know what's worse than a bad tenant? Okay? This is something I've thought about a lot recently, okay? What's worse than a bad tenant who doesn't pay rent? Government with too many rules, too many regulations, and they're sitting here and they're targeting you with lawfare because they want you to be the blame of all the issues that are created. Okay, there's a shortage of affordable housing. That's your fault, landlord. Oh, things aren't getting repaired. That's your fault, landlord. You know what? Everything can be linked back to the government itself, the policies they put in place that were, I guess, initially meant to help solve some sort of problem, right? They created new problems. And now we have a situation where you have a lot of landlords who are just giving up. They're giving up. And I can't blame them. I would give up too if this was the sort of thing that was happening to me. I got tenants writing me bad checks and, I just got to take it, I just got to take it because there's nothing that I can do to discourage them from writing a bad check. That's idiotic. Okay, so yeah, all my finances are messed up. If a tenant writes you a bad check, the good thing is that, hey, guess what, their rent is officially late on top of that, right? Now, I don't know if you could charge a late fee in New York. They probably made a law against that as well, but you can start the eviction process against people for not paying their rent. So anyway, let me continue and finish up what this article is saying. Okay, here is what the 2025 law will say according to the New York State website. Prohibits residential landlords from charging tenants a fee for a dishonored rent check in excess of the actual costs or fees incurred by such landlord as a result thereof, providing such dishonored check fee was included in the initial lease. Yeah. So, laws change. And it seems like up in New York, places like New York, hell, even here in Omaha, they just keep creating more and more new anti-landlord laws. Okay? Every time I turn, you know what? I've made over 1,000 videos on this channel. Most of them have to do with new laws that they're trying to pass, new laws that we're fighting against, bad tenant actions, government overreach. It's all the same, and it won't surprise me one bit that we start to see these sort of laws being passed in places outside of New York. Okay, I could see something like that happening here in Nebraska. Okay, they think that these sort of things are going to help people, that they're going to benefit the tenants in some way. They're not going to solve any problem. And I think that the people who are paying the rent late, guess what? And paying with bad checks, you get what you deserve. You knew when you signed up that lease, you knew, hey, if I write a bad check, if my check bounces, I'm going to have to pay this fee. You signed a contract agreeing to it. If you don't like it, don't sign the contract. That's what I say. But what do you think? Go ahead and put a comment in the comment section down below.